As Govan mentioned, Wednesday, the first conviction for the looting of VBS Mutual Bank. That was Philip Truter, the former CFO. He's admitted guilt. He's turned state witness. Today, more VBS looting suspects in court. The case postponed now to allow for more arrests and more charges. Investigative journalist Dewald van Rensburg has written a book on the looting. It's called VBS, A Dream Defrauded. It is out now. Dewald works for the Amabhungane Centre for Investigative Journalism and joins me. Hello, Dewald. Thank you very much for your time. I was listening to Govan list the charges against people such as Chiviwe Matodzi: theft, fraud, corruption, money laundering, racketeering. I'm just wondering what else they could be thinking of adding. That's already a fairly comprehensive list, isn't it?
Well, the list is the original list from June this year. Is 47 different counts altogether against all of them. That is racketeering, it's fraud, it's theft, it's corruption. It's the entire gamut of white-collar crime, really. I think they've probably added some tax offences. That's what they did with Philip Truter. And then there'll be new offences for these new arrests they're suggesting they're going to make before everyone goes to trial in January. One has to suppose that this plea deal with Philip Truter could be the source of the new evidence the NPA says it has, on which it will base new arrests. And I think it's kind of fair to speculate that these new arrests will be political rather than, people who worked at the bank.
So two names who are two political names, very strongly associated. Danny Msiza, who was the treasurer in Limpopo for the ANC, and Florence Radzilani. They were initially suspended when Terry Matau's report came out, and they've recently been reinstated by the ANC NEC, quite controversially. Politically, could you talk us through who are the people that were identified in the report? Who are the people that you've looked into through the course of your book? And would you say that Danny Msiza and Florence Radzilani are probably likely to be among any political arrests?
They definitely are top of mind. If there's anyone who might face arrest, it is probably Danny Msiza. His recent reinstatement as provincial treasurer in Limpopo of the ANC was kind of a strange move. It was unanimously endorsed by the ANC's National Executive Committee. And I think this was done at a time that people would have anticipated the arrest might be imminent. It almost feels like a kind of political lagering around the man. So, I do think it would be him, it would be Florence. Those are the two against whom the most concrete evidence, at least publicly known evidence, exists. The other political names, of course, are at the EFF. It's Floyd Shavambu, his brother Brian, and Julius Malema himself, for whom relatively compelling evidence of receiving money exists, although the difference is with Msiza, there's evidence of him actually exerting power to, further VBS's fraud. Whereas with the EFF, it's not really all that clear what VBS would have gotten in return for the patronage.
Because one would assume that with someone like the former CFO, Philip Truter, singing like a canary, I presume he's got lots of documentation. This is going to be a slam dunk for conviction. What do you think?
I think Truter will be a very valuable witness. He does have a fair amount of documentation, I've been made to understand. And his statement that he's provided is also, I've heard, quite lengthy and detailed. He would know a lot of the nitty-gritty of what was done inside the bank. He was a hands-on kind of technician. He worked with the accounts. He inserted, fake deposits into accounts, and he was really instrumental to the kind of mechanics to it all. He would have ideas. Yeah.
I'm interested, your book, VBS, A Dream Defrauded, which I think came out just days ago. It's interesting that on the front cover, Songezo Zibi is quoted about VBS, and he's saying it's an issue of choices, and he says, no one who mattered chose to do the right thing and blow the whistle. Now, you've dug into what happened at VBS, and I'm just wondering if you have any understanding, bearing in mind how many corruption cases we're looking at, Why? Why have we not had people speaking out sooner? Why did no one blow the whistle sooner? On VBS, for example.
No, in VBS, I mean, there is an inner circle and there is a wider circle of people who would have known things are going on. I mean, people were paid. I mean, that's the simplest answer of all. The auditor was easily corrupted. The board, independent, so-called independent board members were handsomely bribed, or the executives were bribed. I think it's probably a combination of greed and ambition and fear. You could lose your job. You could gain a lot of money by keeping quiet. And, if the thing grew and grew and grew, you could have your ambitions could be fulfilled. You could be part of a larger thing. I don't think it's all that complicated for most of them. The question is how it kind of stays quiet within an organization that still, employed normal people who worked as clerks and tellers and so on. When you saw things happen like, enormous amounts of cash being taken out of branches in bags. I mean, this happened. Tellers saw this, tellers were upset about this. Some of them, did raise red flags. It was done. Unfortunately, the chain of command was such that the red flags were ultimately raised with people who were in on it. So, I mean, that is interesting. It's interesting how you can capture an institution that way and how you really just need the key people. Of course, they were never caught out. What happened was the thing collapsed. I mean, they were never actually caught until it went into curatorship and the board was removed.
Thank you so much. Very interesting indeed. Dewald van Rensburg, Amabhungane journalist and author of the newly released book, VBS, A Dream Defrauded.